picked these up yesterday. That's 4 fertilised hatching eggs. Now what I've got here, these 2 dark ones, they're very dark. They're copper marron. They're big black chickens with coppery bits. And these ones, the bright white ones, they're white leghorn. I don't know if you remember foghorn leghorn. Yeah, one of them. Now I'm up here nice and early this morning, and the reason for that is I wanted to get up here before the chickens lay their eggs. And nobody's laid yet. Nobody's laid yet this morning. None in there. And none in there. That's where they normally lay their eggs. Now I spent yesterday sectioning about 1/3 of the chicken coop off. I've used pallets at the bottom, netting at the top. And I've built a little nesting box, little brood box down there. And I've got a gate here which opens and closes, so I've got nice easy access. Yes, girls. Now my plan is, I've got here early before they lay their eggs because I want to take Shirley, which I'm about to do in a minute. I'm going to take Shirley and plonk her in there. This is my little brood nursery, whatever you want to call it, where she can raise her chicks, hopefully. And I've plonked a little pile of her own eggs in there to encourage her. And actually, look, somebody's been sitting on that already. It's dished out. It wasn't like that yesterday. Somebody's been sitting there. So, once they've had their breakfast, they're just having a little bit of corn for breakfast. Once they've eaten that, I'm going to grab Shirley. I'm going to... You alright? That's Steve who's going to kill the roosters for me. When they finished eating their corn, I'm going to grab Shirley, put her in there and shut the door. And hopefully today, she'll go and lay her egg on that little pile there. The other 2 will be this side, so they can lay their eggs in the usual place. Shirley's going to be in there, and hopefully that'll encourage her to lay her egg in that little brooding box I've made, and then she'll start to sit on them. Right, we'll try that. I've got a few tasks to carry out today. I've got to pop down and see Mike and take him some bits and pieces. I've got to pop to the allotment shop. And we'll be back in a few hours' time and see if she's decided to sit on them or not. She's not looking that broody right now, is she? It's not the end of the world if it doesn't work, because I've got an incubator at home. We'll give it a couple of days, and if she doesn't take to them, we'll put them in the incubator. The sun's nice and bright, and I have noticed that usually when she goes broody and starts growling at me and sitting on the eggs, it's on a nice sunny morning. I've got her in there, look. She's just kind of complaining at the moment. We'll come back in a bit and see what she's doing. I just got back from the allotment shop, the allotment society, down in Dagnall, and Shirley is showing very promising signs already. We'll go and have a look in a second. Firstly, this is what I'm taking down to Mike today for his tomatoes. I got him some nice big tubs to put them in, and some big bags of compost. But also, I thought, Mike likes cutting things in half with swords, doesn't he? And he makes some really entertaining videos doing that. So these here are butternut squash. I've got quite a few spare. So what I thought, these tubs are so big, Mike, you can stick a tomato growing up a cane. I'll bring you some canes as well, I've got plenty of them. Each tub can have a tomato growing up a cane, and then these butternut squash, if you plant one in each tub as well, they'll trail over the side and grow along the floor. So hopefully at the end of the season, you'll have lots of butternut squashes to smash to pieces. Now I'll show you what Shirley's up to. I'm going to try and do this without causing any disturbance, because when I start rooting around the chicken coop, Shirley thinks I'm getting dandelions and things for her. So I'm not going to make a fuss of this. I'm just going to sit back and see if I can zoom in and show you what she's doing. It's all very encouraging. I'll try and zoom in, look. She's on the nest in there. Oh, that's not very good, is it? Hang on, let me see if I can get a better angle for you. It's not the world's greatest shot, but she's there sitting on the eggs. When I turned up 10 minutes ago, she was sitting there rearranging the eggs, putting them all in a neat little pile, and making herself a little nest to sit in. And now she's sitting on them. So later on in the day we'll see if she's still there, and if she is, I'll slide those fertilised eggs underneath her. I always wondered about these hatching eggs, because you can actually get them online. You can get the mail order sent in the post in a sort of a polystyrene box to protect them. And I was thinking, well, how do they go through the postal system in the cold without dying? But apparently when the eggs have just been fertilised, I wasn't aware of this, you've got 2 to 3 weeks, as I understand it, before they actually need to be incubated. So I got these ones yesterday. I'll slide them under Shirley later on, and I'm presuming they've only been laid for a few days. Shall we have a quick catch up then? What we've got, my sweet peppers are all in their pots in the greenhouse. There's a mixture of reds, yellows and greens there. I like sweet peppers, get through quite a lot of those. These beds are all prepared and ready to take my cucumbers and melons. And I've brought the cucumbers up here to the allotment as well. They're not in the ground just yet, but there's all my cucumbers waiting to go in the ground. I'm going to let them get a tiny bit bigger first. They're still very young. Don't think we've got any roots at the bottom of the pot yet. No. Once I see some roots at the bottom of the pot, I'll stick them in the ground. Now, similarly out here, I've got the tomato bed ready in the tomato shelter. That's ready for planting, and I've got, what have I got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 8 tomato plants there. I think 6 of them are to go in the ground, and there's 2 which are sort of basket cherry tomato types, which I usually hang up along here in the sun. So they're also ready to go in. I've got more butternut squash there. That's another squash called Crown Prince. Oh, my sweet corn there, waiting to go in the bed. Won't be doing this today. Onions are doing absolutely brilliantly. So's the garlic. My first early potatoes. Absolutely great look. Doing really well. My peas, I brought them up here again. They're already hardened off. I've got the mesh on there to keep the pigeons off. I'll let them grow a little bit bigger before I put the peas in the ground. Now my carrots have started to come through down here, which my mum sowed 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Mum sowed my carrots and parsnips for me while I was busy digging. And we've got, I'm yet to put the netting around these, but it's not necessary just yet. Let's see if we can see them on the camera. Can you see the little faint rows of green? There we go. Little rows of carrots starting to come through there. Same in this one. Same in this one. They're all coming along a treat, look. Just broken through. Now this one with the glass on top, that's got my parsnips in it. But parsnips are arseholes. They take forever to germinate. They were done on the same day as the carrots, but there's nothing coming through yet. Well, there is something, but I'm pretty sure it's not a parsnip. Where's it gone? There we go. That's not a parsnip, I think that's just a little bit of grass, but they'll be there. I've got a particular method of planting parsnips where I don't just plant 1 per station, I'll plant 4 per station. Sometimes even 4 or 4 different varieties. They're bastards for germinating, they just don't want to. They're really difficult to germinate. So by doing this, 4 per station method, you always get 1 come through. You use a lot more seed than you need. What else? Oh, me pink fir apple potatoes. They're going to need a bit more soil on them soon. Start earthing it up as they grow. Now Alan, he's the tractor allotment guy who just ploughs his entire plot like a farmer would, rather than all these little beds like the rest of us do. He was saying to me, have your main crop potatoes started to poke through yet? I said, no, I've not seen them. He said, oh well, be careful because it's been so wet, a lot of people have had them rotting off. So I just had a little look this morning. This is where my main crops are, under all this straw. And yeah, there is nothing poking through yet, but I had a little fertile around, and look, they're fine. Can you see them there? They're coming through, they've just not made it to the surface yet, so they'll be alright. Just down over here, my second early potatoes are all coming through really well. There we go, all showing their faces. I've got a bit of spare space at the end of this bed, so I'm putting in 2 courgettes and a butternut squash. Strawberries. I'm talking to myself, yeah.
James, you missed out going up the shed this morning.
I went.
One more, please. Can't we put one more in here?
So we'll be netting over these soon. They are starting to get little hard green fruits. As soon as they start to swell, we need to keep the blackbirds off of that. Now the asparagus, I've been eating that every day for the last couple of weeks and it's still coming, as per usual. Don't get me wrong about parsnips. I don't eat a huge amount of them. I hardly ever eat them, to be honest, and they're so difficult to germinate, you know, I could be excused for just not bothering with them. But the reason I persevere and grow parsnips is they make the, I think, oh yeah, definitely one of the top 2 or 3 homemade wines that I've ever made. Parsnip wine is gorgeous and it's really strong. The other one that's excellent is damson, the other one is plum. I've got all of those now, so it'll be all the wine this winter. That's Shirley making that noise. She's not sitting on the eggs anymore. I've got Mike's stuff dropped off to him. For his tomatoes and his sword squashes. No signs of life at Chateau Weapon Collector. That was about 1:30 in the afternoon and everyone's still in bed by the looks of it. I got back and Shirley was sitting on the eggs, but now I'm here, she's got off the eggs. And she just wants to know what I'm doing. She's following me around looking, making noises. That's not sitting on eggs, is it, Shirley? Hey? I'm going to feel a bit bad about leaving her shut in there on her own overnight. If she's not actually sitting on the eggs, she's going to want to be with the others. So, unless she gets back on those eggs while I'm here, I'm going to open the gate so that they can all go where they want tonight. And then, early tomorrow morning, before I start work, I'll come up and repeat the process. First thing in the morning, I'll put her in here, and I'll come back after work and see what's going on. I think if by the end of tomorrow, possibly the day after, she hasn't gone into full broody mode, we'll take those eggs home and incubate them. I'm going to let her back out in a minute. She's not going to sit on them eggs today. Poor old girl. Right, I'm going to finish off by getting these tomatoes in. I might as well, because the sooner they get in, the sooner they can start spreading their roots out and growing some tomatoes. Let me show you how I do it. Yeah, that's alright. Now this one here you can see, it's sitting there in its pot, and it'll have rooted, there's roots at the bottom now, but you can see you've got all of this stem going spare here before you get to the first leaf, and I'm actually going to bury it almost up to that leaf because it will grow roots all the way down there, and the more roots it can get the better. So rather than having all that spare stem just sitting above the ground doing nothing, it might as well be underground growing extra roots for the plant. So a nice deep hole for this. In nice and deep. I'll get it filled in. 1 down, 7 to go. 6 happy little tomatoes. Well fed, excellent soil. Sitting in their little shelter. Keep the blight and the rain off them. I had one left over. I think it's a plum, if I remember rightly, this one. I had one left over. I don't really want to squeeze it in over there. It'll, you know, you need a good bit of airflow really around your tomatoes. I'm going to take that home and stick it in a big tub in the garden with the others. I just got a text message from Mike about 3:30 in the afternoon. And it said, sorry Jim, heavy night last night, just woke up. I don't mind at all, Mike, it's alright. I figured you were probably going to be seriously hungover or possibly still in bed anyway, because I knew that you were doing a drunk stream last night. Hopefully they'll come in really useful for you, and the squashes, we'll get to see some squash cutting videos later in the year, hopefully, eh? And I just got in those 2 courgettes and one of my butternut squashes. So that's it all for now. I'm going to try Shirley with the eggs again tomorrow. If it doesn't work, we'll be incubating them in the electrical device. And everything coming along nicely though, eh? I'm well on top of it so far this year. Everybody else is doing quite well as well, look. See you soon.